Ja, velkommen til det første webinaret fra Norne Securities rundt markedet og enkeltaksjer. Jeg ser antall deltakere tikker litt oppover gradvis, men jeg kan jo begynne så vidt. Navnet mitt er Slyngstadli. Jeg har jobbet et halvt år som analysesjef i Norne Securities. Og jeg skal ta dere litt gjennom markedet og hvordan vi evaluerer det nå. Det er jo volatilt i og for seg, men samtidig så har vi fått en veldig bra utvikling. Så skal Tomas Skeivys, som er leder Vilnius-kontoret vårt, og som har vært en veldig toneangivende analytiker på NEL, ta oss gjennom det caset. Vi satser på å bruke 15 minutter hver. Det kan holde litt hardt, ser jeg, for vi har mange slides vi skal gjennom. Men vi har muligheter da, til å holde på i 3 kvarter. Og da starter jeg med en liten disclaimer, og det er jo fordi at det er både profesjonelle og ikke-profesjonelle kunder her sammen med oss i dag. Bakteppet kjenner dere jo alle til. Vi opplever det jeg vil kalle en unprecedented situasjon, der BNP har falt veldig sterkt både i Norge, i USA, og kanskje spesielt i Europa faktisk. Over første halvår og først og fremst i andre kvartal. Samtidig så er jo troa på den V-forma oppgangen fortsatt her. En venter en vekst på rundt 8% i Kina til neste år, rundt 5% i Europa og USA, og i overkant av 2,5% i Norge. Så Norge skal være en legger her i forhold til resten av verden. Og det er jo kanskje bakgrunnen for hvorfor finansmarkedet har vært så sterke. Andre bakgrunnen er jo det bildet her, at vi har fått ekstreme stimulanser egentlig fra sentralbankene, og spesielt gjennom pengepolitikken, også gjennom finanspolitikken. Feds balanse har jo økt med 3000 milliard dollar gjennom bare noen få måneder. Og det er jo mer enn både Q1 og Q2 etter finanskrisen. Så det kvantitative lettelsene er sterkere denne gangen enn de var i opprydning av finanskrisen, som amerikanerne omtaler som The Great Recession. Også ECB sin balanse har økt veldig kraftig. Litt interessant også er jo det at vi ser at spareraten, ikke bare i Tyskland her som har økt veldig dramatisk, men også i USA ser vi at spareraten har økt veldig kraftig. Det er også fordi de finanspolitiske stimulansene har økt den disponible inntekten. Men det er viktig også for å forklare hvorfor det norske grønne feltet av aksjer er så sterkt. Veldig mange tyske investorer står jo bak det her også. Tyske sparere er jo viktige i forhold til hvordan aksjekursene i NEL og Kontafjul går i det korte og lange bildet. Det er klart at fangaksjene, disse store tech-gigantene i USA, de har hatt et fabelaktig år. De var opp 50% year to date før denne lille korreksjonen i september kom. Nå er de opp i overkant av 30, mens S&P var opp 10 og er nå opp et par prosent. Sånn at veldig mye av den aksjemarkedsoppgangen i USA har blitt dratt av fangaksjene. Tilsvarende så ser vi i Norge, så er det mye grønne aksjer som har trykket indeksen opp, og de grønne aksjene er hittil i år uten kvantafjul opp i overkant av 30%, mens indeksen er ned 10%. Men også teknologiaksjene på Oslo Børs er opp 20%. Så teknologispacet også har vært veldig bra. Samtidig så er det den parallellen vi ser tilbake igjen til millenniumsskiftet, at vi må tilbake igjen til 2000-2001 for å se når vekstaksjer var like dyre som i forhold til verdiaksjer. Og rabatten nærmer seg 50%. Og P-en på vekstaksjer, globale vekstaksjer, den er på over 35, mens P-en på globale verdiaksjer er ca. 18. Så verdiaksjer er heller ikke spesielt rimelig nå. Hvis vi ser på estimatendringene, så ser vi at vi ser en gradvis bedring i estimater på S&P. Også estimater på Oslo Børs har egentlig kommet en del opp igjen. Så de også ser egentlig litt bedre ut. Samtidig så det forventet veldig kraftig vekst i inntjeningsestimater fra 2020 til 2021, altså til neste år. Og den veksten jo litt viktig for å komme i mål med prisingen. Så på prisingen på aksjemarkedet, så det jo det klart, det framstår så dyrt på årets PE 2020. PE 2021 greit priser i de fleste marked, men ikke spesielt billig. Vi ser for eksempel Oslo Børs på en PE på 16 ganger, og prisbok rundt 1,7. Og så ser vi at det da forventet en vekst i inntjeninger på 60% fra 2020 til 2021. Og det jo høyt. Så vi avhengig av å komme i mål i forhold til den prisingsbølgen. Det klart, hvis vi ser prisbok viktig for avkastningen i Norge, og prisbok, den norske børsen en syklisk børs, og en mange kapitalintensive industrier. Men det klart, Oslo Børs også endring. Vanligvis når vi ser prisingsnivå på 1,7 på prisbok, så har vi fått en avkastning på mellom 5 og 10% de neste 10 årene. Og når renta såpass lav som den så det klart at da styrer vi mot en ganske god risikopremie på Oslo Børs. Det annerledes for USA. Der ser vi, der det PE som gir det beste langsiktige målet, og når den forward PE på over 22,5, ja, så styrer vi mot en langsiktig avkastning på rundt 0. Og det gir jo også en svak risikopremie. I forhold til emerging markets, det der egentlig risk-reward ser best ut de neste 10 årene. Der ser vi at utfallsrommet stort her, men der styrer vi mot en avkastning på opp imot 10%. Og det egentlig ganske bra. Også i emerging markets rentene lave, selv om de høyere enn andre steder. Så JP Morgan også, de peker på at vi har fått et veldig bra avkastning i amerikansk large cap, store aksjer. Vi har fått 17% cirka de siste 10 årene. Og det jo vesentlig, det en voldsom risikopremie. De forventer at vi skal få rundt 4% i påfølgende 10 årene. Det også fortsatt en risikopremie, men da en lav. Hvis du skal ha en bedre risikopremie, så må du mot europeiske aksjer eller EM-aksjer. Og vi tror også at norske aksjer vil ligge i dette feltet her. Så det oppside i norske aksjer fra dette nivået, men mindre for globale aksjer og amerikanske. Har jeg litt lyst til å bruke litt tid på denne hype-cyclen, fordi det klart at det vi ser i markedet nå at det en veldig dualitet, en veldig stor forskjell på det jeg vil kalle nye aksjer, grønne aksjer, teknologiaksjer, kontra gamle aksjer, gamle, tradisjonelle, litt sykliske aksjer. Og her har jeg brukt Gartner sin hype cycle, som Gartner Group sin beskrivelse av hvordan det å investere i ny teknologi. Og jeg har brukt Amazon og kursutvikling i Amazon fra 1997 til 2007. Og Amazon jo kanskje en av de mest vellykkede selskapsintroduksjonene de siste 20 årene globalt. Men vi ser at mens fra 1997 til 1999 så gikk Amazon-kursen veldig bra, den gikk over 10 ganger. Og da det fokus på å bevise at det ikke kan funke. Men så når du da skal på en måte vokse deg inn i veldig drøye multipler, ja, så blir det vanskelig for selskap å levere på det investorene har forventet. Og da så vi at også Amazon falt med 90%. Men så kom denne slope of enlightenment der selskapet etter hvert leverte, og etter hvert også tjente penger. Men det tok 10 år for Amazon å ta igjen all time high fra 1999 og 2000. Og så det klart at det som har skjedd etterpå jo historie, som jeg kaller det. Det I og for seg dette her også. Men da har jo Amazon fått en unik stilling I verden, og har gått 35 ganger fra den all-time high. Ideen med det her jo å vise at også for disse nye selskapene så kan det være en innovation trigger og en peak of inflated expectations. Og så kan det bli vanskelig for noen av disse selskapene til å greie å levere på det som nå priset inn. Og det ser vi, her har vi jo et selskap som egentlig ikke lykkes. Silicon kom seg aldri etter den toppen forut for finanskrisen. Men vi har to selskap som også egentlig gikk veldig bra opp til finanskrisen for Vestas Wind System og opp til dotcom-perioden I Tomra Systems. Og det to selskap som verdensledende innenfor hver sitt felt. Likevel så var det en veldig lang periode der disse aksjene ikke fungerte, før de da gjenoppstod og lykkes med forretningsmodellen sin. Så det litt av taken også. Selv om vi har tiltro til veldig mange selskap her, så kan det ta tid for disse selskapene å vokse inn I de estimater og de multiplene vi har. Og derfor så må en også være litt edruelig når en svinger seg I dette nye feltet med grønne aksjer og teknologiaksjer. Og en må også være oppmerksom på svingninger og endringer I markedssentimentet. Norne-porteføljen vår så vi litt forsiktige I dag, men vi har tatt den med også for å vise at det mulig å finne selskap som veldig edruelig priser, til tross for at børsen dyr. Og Telenor et case. Telenor jo dyr på prisbok, men skal kanskje ikke verdsettes på prisbok. Den har en veldig bra egen kapitalavkastning og veldig bra dividendgiv. Yara veldig billig på PE neste år, også på prisbok. Sparebanken Sør billig på prisbok og på PE, har en brukbar egenkapitalavkastning og en bra dividendgiv hvis de får utbetalt det. Kitron, selskap som vi liker veldig godt, har en bra, billig til tross for veldig god egenkapitalavkastning og god direkteavkastning. Og Fotokur mer et selskap som mer et vekstselskap som skal levere I 2021 og fremover. Så det ikke vanskelig å bygge en portefølje på Oslo Børs av rimelige og gode selskap. Og selv om en lyst til å danse med disse nye selskapene og høymultipelselskapene, så anbefaler vi også diversifisere ut porteføljer med andre typer selskaper, men I dag også kvalitetsselskap som ikke veldig sykliske. Så da tenkte jeg skulle gi ordet over til Tomas, som skal ta dere gjennom NEL-historien. Vær så god, Tomas.
Thank you, Peter. This was a nice intro into the whole market situation. And we here at Norne can safely say now that we've been looking into the hydrogen field before it was cool. And just to start off with this chart, that shows how hydrogen stocks became among the favorites or with the most return over the last one and a half years. So looking at NEL, a slide borrowed from NEL itself for those that do not cover NEL or haven't looked at it for some time, and maybe a reminder what NEL is about. So first of all, it is about electrolyzers, and it's unique in a sense that it has both alkaline and PEM electrolyzers. So when NEL started its journey on the Oslo Stock Exchange, it had 25 megawatts of alkaline electrolyzer capacity, and they bought also PEM capacity in the United States. And now they have 40 megawatts each. But expansion is ongoing to quite large numbers. NEL is now targeting expanding to 500 megawatts in alkaline capacity at Herøya. That would be one line, and the facility can hold up to 4 lines. So we are looking at capacity expansion to maybe 2 gigawatts in the long term. And the second part of NEL is hydrogen fueling stations, that they have a capacity of 3 stations per year in Denmark. So that is shortly about NEL, and I'll get right into the top story of the last few weeks about NEL's largest customer and one of the most important customer over the years. That's Nikola. As a backdrop, Hindenburg Research, a short seller, issued a report on September 10th, days after Nikola announced a partnership with GM, that basically accused Nikola of being a fraud. This report was rebuffed by Nikola in several statements, but it had a profound effect on the company. The stock has more than halved on NASDAQ. Trevor Milton, the executive chairman, founder and visionary, has left the company. And there are talks that Nikola is now in difficulties with talks regarding the hydrogen station rollout in the US. Talks reportedly been with BP. And now the latest news that GM decided not to, well, they were supposed to sign the final agreement on September 30th. At least this was hope. But now they are delaying that, possibly renegotiating the deal with Nikola. So just to highlight what Nikola is for NEL in tangible facts over the past years. So first of all, they signed a demo station contract back in November 2017. So that's 3 years back. The contract that was extended from $3.6 million to $9 million in April 2018. There was a big fuss announcement in June 2018 that NEL has signed an exclusive deal with Nikola for the first gigawatt that would be needed for the station rollout. That's 448 electrolyzers, the largest of NEL's electrolyzers, and that would be multi-billion Norwegian kroner contract. And then the latest order, that was a significant one for NEL as well, that was the $30 million for 85 megawatts of electrolyzers this June. This would support the rollout of the first 5 of Nikola stations in the US. As some of you heard, but maybe not all, Nikola's grand plan and what is most important for NEL is the station rollout, 1,200 8-ton equivalent hydrogen station network across the United States. So that means they were talking about 700 stations, and that's still the number. It's just that some stations will be with more capacity, maybe 1632 tons, and some less, maybe 8 or 4 tons per day of fueling capacity. So that contract alone, if it was utilized by NEL or provided by NEL, according to our sort of back of an envelope calculation, could be both around $1 billion for NEL share, or about maybe 7-8 kroners per share. So what we're seeing now, since Hindenburg report came out on September 10th, NEL was affected as well quite significantly, and the share price fell, I think, in today's, including today's trading of more than 6 kroners. So in our view, it seems like the hit was almost in full. That could be the value from the Nikola contract. So our take on the whole this story is that, yes, of course, Nikola has played a big role in getting the word out about green hydrogen, and it is important for NEL, but NEL is much more than Nikola. That I will try to show in the next few slides. As from NEL, the word is that they continue to deliver on the latest $30 million order. And of course, the grand plan from Nikola of the station rollout might be revised now in the light of what has happened, but it still can happen, of course. Nikola had three big goals to announce before the year end. So they announced two of these goals being completed, or at least they thought they were. That's GM deal on the Badger truck, and then the big order that came from the Republic Services for the garbage trucks earlier. So the third goal was to announce the station partner, and reportedly they were in advanced talks with BP, but now these talks seem to have maybe not stalled. Different reports say that they are still ongoing, but at least they probably are going to be talking a bit more before announcing something. So that's the backdrop of the Nikola story, and I would like to say a few things about green hydrogen that is beyond Nikola. Actually, if you look at hydrogen field, the popular opinion and the popular talk is about transportation, and in extreme cases, that is light-duty vehicle transportation. But when looking at NEL, the talk is, of course, is Nikola, but it's much more than that. And this is the graph of green hydrogen applications from the Hydrogen Council that was released in January 2020 report, where they looked at the hydrogen cost competitiveness, and they came to the conclusion that hydrogen will be competitive sooner. Green hydrogen will be competitive sooner than previously expected. And as you can see, I highlighted the industrial part of green hydrogen applications as a particularly interesting field for NEL. So hydrogen is actually a big industry already now. That's a $150 billion industry according to NEL. Largest part of it is ammonia, and then a big chunk is taken by refineries as well. So it's going to be a lot of focus, I think, on ammonia field and green hydrogen application in that field. Because Yara, as you know, one of the largest nitrogen fertilizer producers, is using a lot of hydrogen in making ammonia. And Yara signed the deal with NEL, a collaboration agreement, as they called, to develop electrolyzers to make green ammonia. And of course, this is a flashback 90 years back when actually NELs electrolyzers were first used to make ammonia in Norsk hydro plants. After that, the fossil-based hydrogen took over due to the cost. So we are back, we're at the place where NEL thinks that green hydrogen made by electrolysis from water can compete with fossil hydrogen. And they are intend to build a pilot plant that would be 5 megawatt big. That would be maybe 2 of the largest alkaline electrolyzers that NEL has. The value of it could be maybe $1.5–2 million or euros. But still, that would be only 1%. I'll produce only 1% of what Yara is using at its Herøya facility. So just shows the scale of hydrogen that is used. And if green hydrogen is competitive with fossil, that's a huge market to tap into for NEL and other green hydrogen equipment producers. So we are going to see more news about this on December 3rd. That's the Yara's ESG day. One can only speculate what's going to be announced, but green ammonia should be there high on the agenda. And if looking at green ammonia, just a few months ago, there was a huge announcement from Saudi Arabia where they are going to use ThyssenKrupp technology of electrolysis to make as much as 1.2 million tons of green ammonia for exports by 2025. So not only Yara is looking at green ammonia, others are looking too. And the final note on this slide would be on the refineries. That comprises also quite a big chunk of current hydrogen use. And pilot projects are ongoing there as well. One notable is in Germany, where Shell has one refinery working with ITM Power to use green hydrogen in the process. And also there were talks about another refinery in Frederica, Denmark, that could also possibly be a second pilot plant for using green hydrogen in refineries. If looking at new uses of hydrogen, we are looking at even a larger potential within green steel. With all the green hydrogen fuss around and a lot of news out there, one could have actually missed this big announcement of August 31st, where hybrid pilot plant was opened. That's a joint venture by SSAB, LKAB, and Vattenfall that plans to use hydrogen instead of coking coal in producing steel. And this plant was opened with NELs, 4.5 megawatt alkaline electrolyzer. So that plant is in motion and is going to be run until 2024, followed by some demonstration phase, and they expect a full-scale implementation by 2035. So if one thought that ammonia is a huge market for green hydrogen, then you can just look at green steel as even larger. And this picture is taken from NEL's presentation previous than the last quarters, and here it shows 360 megawatts expansion. Now it's higher to 500 megawatts, obviously. So this is the new applications for hydrogen, and since so much talk is about the transportation and mobility and use of hydrogen within that field, I could just mention that actually green hydrogen in transportation is also not Nikola. As you can see, Daimler 2 weeks ago had a big event announcing hydrogen trucks. They're going to send some trucks for testing for clients in 2023 and then expect mass production in the second half of this decade. Looking at what's not in the future, what is a reality, and the reality is that Hyundai has shipped 5 or 10 trucks already to Switzerland for a big project that aims to have thousands of hydrogen fuel cell trucks on the road for the customer testing. And we saw, of course, Alstom running the hydrogen train in Germany, but also just today there was a maiden journey made for the hydrogen train in UK as well. And if that's not enough to be excited about hydrogen in transportation, you can also look at the latest Airbus press release where they see that you cannot decarbonize the flight or airborne travel without hydrogen. And they see at least 3 planes running on hydrogen by 2035. So in general, hydrogen is still, of course, green hydrogen is at early stages of being adopted at a mass scale. And governmental support is key at this point, which is nice to see that the support is there in a rather strong numbers. Just to look at EU that has a priority to rebuild the economy after the COVID pandemic in a green way, and has a big goals, 6 gigawatts by 2024, 4 gigawatts by 2030, and additional 40 gigawatts in partner countries like North Africa, Ukraine, and also large-scale hydrogen use by 2050. And individual countries are coming up with their hydrogen strategies that will pour billions of euros into the green hydrogen field, building electrolyzers, building fueling stations and infrastructure. And it's also nice to see that Norwegian government is listening in as well, with some disappointment in the latest announcement of the hydrogen strategy. Your prime minister has said they would be looking more in a more tangible way in the green hydrogen space in Norway as well. And it's only natural having the leading player in the field, the NEL. With all these gigawatts figures flying around, one can ask, who will supply this big electrolyzers to the market. And actually, there are not many players that could do it at scale. As far as we know, it's 3 players that announced gigawatt scale electrolyzer plans. That's ThyssenKrupp, already mentioned, but they are probably going to be pretty busy with the Saudi Arabian project that needs a lot of hundreds of tens of gigawatts there. And also ITM Power, one of the key competitors to NEL, is expanding its capacity, building a plant that would be gigawatt scale. And already mentioned the Harrier plant for NEL that can hold 4 lines of alkaline electrolyzer production, 500 megawatt each, leading to as much as 2 gigawatts at some point. And it's also is sort of reassuring to see that, in our opinion, the contracts are getting bigger for now. We saw one contract in France, 20 million euros. Then we saw the Nikola contract, $30 million. And we saw unnamed customer ordering fueling stations at also a larger scale, 150 million Norwegian kroner. That could be maybe 15 to 20 stations. So, and also South Korea, of course, is ordering more of the stations. For green hydrogen to be more accepted in the market, the cost has to fall significantly. And this picture down below is shown from NEL's first quarter presentation of 2019, when it was referred to being as optimistic and by some people. But if we look at the latest contracts from Nikola and from Leaf in France, you can see that these are already between 300 and 400 capex dollars per kilowatt. So capex-wise, scale brings green hydrogen to being competitive with fossil hydrogen. So we expect more and big contracts for NEL going forward. Pricing is difficult in the sector, naturally. Just wanted to show this and show a clear pattern here that NEL, compared to peers, if you calculate on what's calculable on current stage, you can see that NEL is clearly priced at a heavy discount to its peers. And to summarize the investment case, we believe that the world is changing. Energy transition into renewables is happening. And there is a growing consensus that hydrogen is going to play a key role in this transition, with NEL being at the forefront technology-wise and also capacity-wise. NEL can benefit and will benefit, in our view, from this mass adoption of hydrogen in the decades to come. So already mentioned, we expect more and larger orders for NEL over the coming months, years, and decades. And one opportunity that is not unlikely in our view is that NEL becomes part of the large industrial group at some point, meaning that when hydrogen really takes scale, it will be easier for somebody looking into this field to just acquire NEL. As for Nikola, it's a risk, but at the same time, it's an opportunity. So it's a grand plan can still happen. And having in mind the negative impact on the NEL share price lately, that would be unlocking the upside faster. So one trigger that everybody is looking is ESG Day from Yara on December 3rd. And it's going to be interesting how willing they are to commit to firm contracts to use electrolyzers to produce green ammonia. And one should not forget solid more than 2.5 billion cash position, wisely used, opportunistically used in the market by now. So they can, and now you will play a big role in the hydrogen field going forward. There are, of course, risks involved. It's a highly volatile stock, and the Nikola news will affect the share going forward. should watch out for increased competition. Accidents can happen. So we should be sort of aware that this is a high-risk investment. But from the investment perspective, we see that NEL is a technology play on the green hydrogen field. And to leave you with to end this slide deck, I put up this few days old headline from Australia. And just to say that it seems like hydrogen really went from zero to hero. Even Germany calls it that. Then I would hope that Petter is coming back and moderate some Q&A if somebody has any questions.
Yes, it doesn't seem like there is any questions, but we're happy to receive questions on this email on the back end of the webinar. And if you have sort of wishes and ideas for new webinars, things you would like us to highlight, we are also very much listening in on that. So I'd like to thank everyone for attending, and I'd like to thank you, Tomas, for a very good presentation on NEL. And I hope to see you again soon. We'll try to have these webinars at least monthly going forward. Så thanks a lot, og på norsk mange takk, så snakkes vi senere.